All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm sure people kind of just come on as they sign up or log in, I guess I should say. So, just want to introduce myself. I am Candy Dykman. I'm from the Mankato office, and we also have.
Leslie Prishman Flugstad, and I'm in the Fergus Falls area.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank everybody for jumping on. I know your days are always very busy, so we just really appreciate you guys, getting on the call and hearing what we have to say. So today is about beyond the transaction, creating lifelong clients and community ties. So Leslie and I put together what we each do. From I don't know, from closing probably is where I kind of started my relationship building. I know you build relationships all along, but it's kind of, what we're talking about is beyond the transaction. So that's what we're going to focus on today. So I'm going to just kind of start talking, and Leslie's going to throw in some of her ideas. We have two different agents, so it really kind of give you a some good ideas. Hopefully, you have some points to walk away with. So like I said, for me, it kind of starts the day of closing. So at the closing table, that's where you always have a little bit of downtime, right? So I always sit and, ask them questions. Well, tell me a little bit more about your kids. And they might say, oh, well, we have one graduating, or, oh, we're gonna have a baby any day. And I'm like constantly taking notes at the closing table, whether it be on my phone or just a little notepad, so that when I'm done, I have something to call them about. So I know often, like for making those calls, people are like, I don't know what to tell them, or I don't know what to talk to them about when I call them, 2 months later. Well, if you take some good notes as you get to know them, you'll have something to call them. Hey, did your child get off to college? Hey, did you have that baby? How is it going? Just small things like that. Um, but for me, what I do is the day of closing, if I know they're moving that day, I have Sophie, my amazing assistant, reach out to them, and they get to have pizza delivered to them the day that they're going to be closing, or the day that they want it. If they're going to be moving on, a Saturday or a Monday, we will have pizza delivered. They get to tell us what kind they want. They get cookies, and then they get some soda or some drinks. So that's kind of just a special thing. I get so many notes about that. Like almost every closing, I'll get people, saying thank you. That really came in handy. The day of closing, or the day of moving, excuse me. I'll also, if I'm out and about and not super busy, I'll just swing by. Sometimes I'll grab a couple boxes, help them move a little bit, just check in, make sure everything's going good. It's all about, showing them that you care beyond just getting that commission check and running out of the title company, right? Um, so Leslie, do you do anything the actual day that they're moving?
Yeah, I do check in. First of all, I definitely, for my sellers, check in to make sure they are ready to go. So I've got some guides that I have prepared that it's taken years to figure out, but people do want you to tell them exactly what to do. I used to make a lot of assumptions, and I kind of had a wake-up call this last summer with my cousin, who I was sort of, I don't know, being a little more relaxed about the guide. And she's like, this isn't my business. You're assuming I know so much, which only a cousin can speak so frankly to another cousin. But, it kind of woke me up like, yes, people really want to know what are they supposed to do. So some of those things I do. So then I feel like I have formed a little bit of a relationship the whole way as far as like guide for this, guide for that, just a one sheet shareable thing. So I do that. I check in to make sure they're packed and ready to go a few days before. And then I'm always at the closing. I mean, I know some agents in our area do not think that's important. I definitely do for a lot of reasons. And then making sure utilities, I work with a lot of seniors here, just making sure their utilities are hooked up. Um, and then, so the moving day, like I do that. I can't say that I do as much. You do great follow up with like the pizza. And a lot of times mine's like a gift bag with some essentials just to snack on while they're moving. So that's what I
Mhm.
do that first day anyway.
Perfect. Yeah, we don't want our buyers or sellers to be hangry, right? We want to make sure they're fed. Okay, so for me, so if I know that they've closed on a Friday, they're moving on a Friday, I always, always, always ask them, when's going to be your first night at the house? And then if I know it's going to be the day we closed, or maybe it's 3 days later for whatever reason, I always call them in the morning and just find out, how did your first night sleeping in your new house go? That goes a long ways. They're like, wow, well, that was kind of cool. And they'll tell me, little stories. It's a quick 5 minute conversation. And then for me, the follow-up after that is I touch them during that first week of them being in their house quite often. They have lots of questions like, well, we can't find how to turn the furnace on or up or light switches. I mean, sometimes it's just conversations, but sometimes they'll have questions like, do you think you can reach out to the seller? Like, we hear this weird noise at night and we don't know where it's coming from. So I do check in about two to three times during the first week that they actually move into their house. And then I do the like a whole week, and sometimes it's an email, text, phone call. You can mix it up. But I always send a text and I'll just say, congratulations, you've been in your house for 1 week. It's really simple. I literally just put it right in my calendar so that when I pull up my calendar for the day, I have my pending task and it just says, oh, 1 week check-in. So that's pretty simple, easy to do. Then I do a month check-in with them. And again, sometimes it's just sending them a celebration text saying you've been in your house for 1 month. And then I do a 3 month check-in, 6 month, and then at the year anniversary, I send them brownies. Used to be strawberries, and then it was cookies, and now I've kind of landed on brownies. And that I do for every anniversary going forward. So I have clients from the first transaction I ever had, so 11 years ago to current, they're still getting those brownies. And so believe it or not, I don't get everybody to thank me, which I do think is a little weird, but I'll get tagged on Facebook or I'll get a handwritten card or a text message. So I just think some of those anniversary check-in things are important. Leslie, do you do any of that?
I don't, but I'm inspired to maybe start. Like, I think that's a smart thing to do. I will admit, like mostly in the last few years, I've had more sellers than I have had buyers, but
Yeah.
now things have changed and this market is changing. So I am working with more buyers than I have in the last few years. And it is great to just sort of refresh, and it's never too late to like start a good situation like that, which I should do a check-in for sure every year. Like that's just as Candy and I had talked a little bit in preparation, like, do we record everybody's birthdays? And you know, I haven't done that. I think the house anniversary is a really smart thing to do to stay in constant touch. As far as like mechanics, like at the office, what I do for sure, the PCC club, I have to say I'm very
Oh, yeah.
incredibly reliant on that. And it's set on every new buyer I ever have. So there is a lot of stuff just going out without my knowledge, I suppose, but like successfully so, like calendars, cards. Um, for cards, do you do the PCC? I
I
mean,
do. That actually is a good reminder. Yes, I kind of forgot about that. I think because it's so automated,
yeah.
Kelly knows with every listing I close, yep, send them out. So I forgot about that. That's awesome. So if there's any new agents on here, if you don't know what that is, please check with your office manager. But the Preferred Client Club is great. I mean, it gets out all the time, quarterly. I think it's just quarterly, and follows them everywhere they go. So I think it's a great
Is
check-in.
it, I think it's at least three, might be four, for sure 3 times a year you get a card. I get stacks of cards in the office. And then that was a little bit, I mean, I'm realistic. Like, you don't want to just send it and not have a little signature in there. So I did devise 3 different stamps with my print in there that
Oh,
say
that
like
was
various
smart.
things. Yeah, like hope everyone's doing well. Just things that look like a handwritten quick note. And then I
Mhm.
stamp them just for efficiency because I don't want to send a blank card. I think that's basic and boring. But I don't want to write, I don't want to write that much either. So that's what I do for all of
Yeah.
those.
No, that's awesome. And a little tip on that, sometimes they'll come back with wrong address. And that's a great time to kind of update your CRM as well if
Mhm.
they come back with the wrong address. So little side note on that. Okay, so then beyond, so okay, for me, I get past that year. I also touch them every quarter. Like, when you have 5 or 6 clients, it's easy to remember and it's easy to check in with them. But then when you start getting, if you're a more experienced agent and you start getting a bigger database of your clients, you have to have a system, first of all, like that's just super important of having that CRM and that system of knowing when to check in with them. But try to touch your clients every quarter. And again, it can be a phone call, go back to your notes and find out, something big that they had in their life. Watch Facebook. Like I do try to, for as many clients as I have, I try to start following them on social media or I invite them to follow me. Now, I also have seniors and not all of them are on Facebook. But that's kind of part of my checklist of things that I do at closing.
Can I interject with the social media? So like
Yeah.
I get paranoid that I'm like liking too many things sometimes, and then I don't want my new clients, especially to think I'm like stalking them. So what I do if I see them in person and make a note, because that's such connectivity and we all see it, right? I'll
Yeah.
just say, happy birthday, the power of Facebook. Like I just sort of throw it out there like, oh, we're all in this system together. Because I don't know what it is about me, but I get a little paranoid if they think I'm watching them really carefully, like it's some creepy grandma liking every little thing. But that's what I do. I just try to say, "Oh, I'm following you on Facebook. It's fun to see," just so they.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I usually kind of set the stage at like my listing appointments or for like one of the first couple of times I might be working with them on the buyer side. I'll just say,
Mhm.
"Oh, I see, we have mutual friends on Facebook, so I just befriended you, or I sent you a friend
Mhm.
request." So kind of try to make it super casual so it doesn't look stalking. Yeah, kind of good point there. Yeah, so those every monthly, or excuse me, every quarter touch-ins, it can be a phone call, a text message, an email. Like I said, just try to reach out to them the best that you can. If you are an agent that does pop buys, I get wild hairs where sometimes I'll do the pop buys. So that one I don't have anything set. And I don't know. I was watching something the other day and they said pop buys are a thing of the past. Like
Mhm.
older or new agents don't even know what pop buys are, but us older agents do. Okay, so check my stuff off as I go along here. Some things that I do to stay in touch as a big group. So I kind of try to make things as personal as I can, like the one-to-one, telephone calls, text message, email messages, and really be caring and try to find something to talk to them about. And at the same time, try to bring them some value, like maybe it's, hey, it's fall time, maybe you should be, cleaning your gutters, so you try to always give good communication to your clients. That would be more like through social media of some sort, give those tips to them. But if I'm going to call them, I want to try to not always, because it is hard. You're like, oh, what am I going to talk to them about now? If I don't know if they had a life event, what am I going to talk about? So try to find some value to give to them as well. Like, I don't know, how's your neighborhood? Or, a market value maybe. Like, did you know you've been in your house for 5 years and you have this much equity in your house? Or do you know that your, neighbor 3 houses down, their house actually sold for this? Because you know how it goes, you're in a neighborhood and everyone thinks they know what the neighbor's house sold for and no one really knows. So try to give them some bit of information. Some other things I do as I'm driving around town, because we're all agents, we're all driving around town all the time. I try to make a point if I'm going by a client's house, I'll send a message and say, just thought of you. I was driving by your house. Love your flowers. That one actually goes a long ways. Women love to get complimented on their flowers. So I'll just, do a couple times where I say, oh, saw your flowers. They look great. Or, hey, I see you painted your door. So you just try to find some of those small things to stay
I
connected
do.
with.
I do the same thing. One of my clients painted her. There's a lake right in the middle of our town that's people just drive around it all the time. And I she painted her house this like gorgeous cranberry. And in the winter, like right now, it is so beautiful. So I often I mean, if I see her quite a bit, but I'll just say, your house is insane. Like I I make a special trip to see it. Like it's so pretty in the winter. Like people
Oh,
love
that's
hearing
awesome.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's
they
true. And
do.
I do drive around and see where things are at with people without it's a fine dance. You don't want to come off like I'm watching your house all the time. I mean, but it's nice that people see you as like their agent for life is the goal.
Absolutely. And I actually have that as a note that in my opinion, there's no such thing as a past client.
Right.
They're clients forever. They're not your past clients. They are still your clients. So kind of keep that in mind. So Leslie, what are some client appreciation things that you do throughout the year? Do you do any big events?
Well, the things I try to do are like not the major holidays where that might get lost, like for women. Like, and again, I do seem to work with a population, so some of my stuff is a little more honed into widows and things like that. Like I'll do galentines, which I couple with
Mhm.
another person here who does like skincare, and I'll put a little thing together and then drop that off on the day before Valentine's Day. And that's kind of been a big hit because it's unexpected. It's just a little way for another woman just to focus on herself only. And so I do that. Food, of course, is a mainstay in this community. So if if babies are arriving, if I have a lot of deaths I'm dealing with, I mean, I am always at the funeral or sending something for that. Um, so some of that is just life passages, is what I'm probably for sure keeping up on. I learned also read the obituaries very religiously because one time I did say to my client Sharon, like, how's Ken? And hope he's doing well. And he had died 3 months earlier. So like, don't let
Oh,
that happen. That's
yeah.
for sure something. So I do read the paper, the local paper. And then if there's, I know before I was an agent, my agent had cut out like my little son at a softball thing. And I thought
Mhm.
that was so sweet. Like she took the time to like cut it out so I'd have it for a scrapbook and did that little bit of homework for me. So I try to do some of those things. I'm a work in progress. I don't
Mhm.
have a great like cemented system, but I'm that's the kind of stuff I naturally like to do.
Yeah, and that's okay. We have some local magazines here, and I tr make an effort to go through them. And if I see a client was, focused or highlighted in that magazine, I'll do the same thing. I'll just take a picture of. Now we don't cut things out of papers
Yeah,
because
it's true.
we don't have a paper, but I'll take a picture of it and I'll send it to them, and then I'll just say, "Hey, saw your article in, River Valley Women's Magazine, I think is what it's called." So I'll do stuff like that. So kind of on the same line there. So for me, I do some big client appreciation parties. I do a bingo one in the spring. And it is more and only because I thought only older people like to play bingo, and I'm finding out no, everybody likes to play bingo. So I'll do a big bingo event, and that's probably between that and my client appreciation party and my Christmas party. My bingo is probably my favorite one to do. Like everybody's engaged. I make it really fun. So like last year I had invited the clients that I had, and then I asked them to each bring a guest. And so everybody did. So we had a really good turnout. I made all the food. As I get bigger, I probably won't be doing that because it's too much work. And then I had businesses give out prizes. So we played, I don't even know how many rounds, multiple rounds. So I had a prize then at every one, and then you could steal from other people if you didn't like that prize. So that was really fun. It really just made it interactive. So I do that. I have a Christmas party with my pie giveaway. And then I have this year I had a Santa at that, and that was huge because then I had a lot of people that made a little bit more of a point to come because they wanted to bring their grandkids with or their kids with to take their pictures with Santa. So that was a big hit for me. Let's see here. I also then in the fall, I do a client appreciation party at my house. So I have a big bounce house and pool and trampoline and just have a great time. Like out in the front yard, I'll put a big sign that just says, thank you for your business or whatever. I don't even know what it all says, but to be honest. But anyways, just have a really good turnout at that. It's nice I think my clients to see me being a real person in my own house versus, outside and my family's there. And so they just get to know me a little bit better in that regard. Let's see here. I do the 21 days of Christmas, and I'm gonna probably change it up this year, but what that kind of consists of is I try to do that for well, I do 21 days of Christmas, I do on social media, but then the big one that I have is for my clients only, and they get entered into a drawing for a 1 month mortgage giveaway. So that everybody looks forward to that. And I then I'll start having comments as the more advertising I do on social media. But I hope it's me. And then they're giving me good accolades also at that same time. So that's kind of fun to do. I do a family
What
photo session, which people really like. They like to have their pictures taken professionally. I pay for that. I pay for one photo, and then if they want to order more, they certainly can. And I think majority of them do end up ordering some family photos. Let's see. I've been doing all talking. Leslie, what are some things you do?
I like the photo thing. That's something to for me to sort of take note because you can help another business. In our smaller
Mhm.
community, it's nice when we can do a cross promotion. So for all of you listening, that's where I started with some of these things is like I'm promoting another business with my business. I know somebody in our office had done, and I'd like to resuscitate it, like Peter Cottontail. Like I've always been a little more, and again, our area is not shut down in the winter. I shouldn't say that at all, but it is definitely almost double populated in summer here. Um, what should I call us? We're definitely, we have the most lakes in the world, for sure, the United States. And so we get so inundated with more people. So I do a lot of gearing up for spring, summer, because it is just bananas here in the summertime. Um, so the take a picture with Peter Cottontail. So we're kind of I try to focus on more like gearing up for spring into summer. Mayday baskets is really a big deal. I try to hit all the twin homes and the things that, again, my market, this is where I try to market the most because a lot of people are sitting at home a little bit lonely in these twin homes. And so bringing a Mayday basket with something clever in it or seeds for planting in the spring, that kind of thing is just, trying to stay top of mind. But most of my stuff is in our office anyway, is more spring. Um, I'm trying to think of one more thing. I had it written down. Let me find it. But that's what I mostly do is we do things in the winter as a company and business. I would say more business promotion, but like for our customers, we do a lot more in the spring.
Okay. Okay. Well, and also if your clientele is a little bit older, they don't like to get out in the wintertime neither. And some
Yeah,
of them
they're
might even be gone.
gone. That's
Yeah, some
right.
of them might be gone. Okay, some other things that I think are important to do are we kind of touch base on it, but like just be aware of birthdays. Birthdays are huge. I just out in the public, I've heard other people say, "Oh, my realtor, I can't believe it. She still sends me a birthday card and it's been 20 years later." That's pretty cool if somebody can do that. So again, at the closing table is a great time to kind of capture some of that information if you
Mhm.
haven't yet. So I have a little sheet of paper that somewhere along the line, I don't have the best service or the best schedule on that yet. So I just have this piece of paper that just asks for information, like their birthdays or wedding anniversaries, kids' ages. I don't ask too much about the kids, and maybe their favorite wine and favorite food. And it's just a little bit of information that I can get from them. That so if like during the transaction, if they're having a bad day, I might send them or drop off a bottle of wine or bring a little bag over with some of their favorite food in it. I've done that before. But it just helps me if 5 years down the road, I want to send them something on their anniversary or their birthday. And I know, oh, yeah, remember they like a certain, I'm not a wine drinker, so I can't even say a brand or a kind, but maybe you drop a bottle of wine off. So I do stuff like that as well. But you have to capture the information. And once they're gone, it's kind of hard to go back and say, when's your birthday? When's your anniversary? I do, like I said, we talked about the Facebook and I'll see it's someone's birthday that's a client of mine. I'm like, oh, I didn't have that in my calendar. So I'll quick put it in my information. So just try to always watch things like that. Another thing I do is anytime a client has a baby, I send them a personalized little stool with their kid's name in it's like a puzzle within the stool. Um, and I have people that will send me pictures like when and their child can actually use it. So like, 2, 3 years later, they'll send me a picture of them standing on the stool. So that goes a long ways. And I was given that gift with my kids and they all still have their stools in their 20s. So something that they can keep forever. Um, like you mentioned, Leslie, the funerals, they're not the fun part of it, but make sure that if you see a client or their mom or their dad or a sibling or something, acknowledge that. I think it goes a long ways for you to reach out when someone has a difficult time in their life. Those aren't always the fun things to deal with. Um, Let's see here. I do also, so I'm a sponsor we have a local pool that started, they revamped it up and I think it's been 3 years now. So I'm a sponsor at that. So one, it helps the community, but two, by being a sponsor, I get passes to the pool. I get like a full membership. I think I get 2 full memberships that I'm given, and then I get some daily passes, and I'll give those out to my clients as well. Um,
One event I had, we have a new splash pad that was started, and I was on the committee for getting that to come to our area. And so I bought a lot of towels. And at
oh,
the grand
cool.
opening, had, the Century 21 table. I didn't want to make it too much, it's a community thing, but I had a Century 21 table there where all the striped towels rolled up and ready to hand out to kids. And that was
Oh,
huge. And that was really great. And that made a big impression, I think, on the parents or grandparents that brought the little kids there for that day. So that kind of stuff is money spent, I think, very well
yeah. Were they
because
branded?
no, they were branded with the splash pad thing. I kind of thought, I don't know. Maybe it would have been appropriate for me to put Century 21 on there too, but I just was trying to be a little careful in that regard. But going forward, I think I could have done it.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing is really that was a good thing that kind of came up. I don't have the organization you do, Candy, for sure. And
Oh, I don't know if I'm so
no,
organized.
I love to hear it because I have some genuine good ideas. Or people in my office, we share a lot of ideas, and I should get them on a calendar and more organized because there's really great stuff. Especially, I said so many lakes here to celebrate summer. I think all of Minnesota, we all look forward to summer. So there are things to do that just are simple little things that I could have some Century 21 imagery on if it's a little kit for a beach or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. I wrote that idea down. I like the swim towels because I could do that at the pool that I am a sponsor at.
Hmm.
And then also we have a local baseball game. It's called the Mankato Moondogs. I don't know if everybody's ever heard of them, but it's kind of like, kids that are in college that want to maybe try to go to professionals and get recruited. So I'm a big sponsor at that. So with that sponsorship, I get, the signage, but I also get dog pound tickets. So like it's an area you can go for food and drinks and stuff. So I do give those tickets away to my clients as well. Same thing, they'll take a picture and put it on Facebook, saying thank me for the tickets. So I do that. Again, it's a community involvement, which is super important. And we're going to get to that as well, along with giving back to my clients and showing my appreciation to them.
Um,
Let's see go ahead.
oh, last notes on just like monthly touches, like this monthly newsletter. Like I am very involved in the Moxie ecosystem. Like I committed to it a couple years ago. I use it pretty exclusively every day. However, the one that's so daunting for me, and I don't know, probably others out there too, is the Moxie Engage. Like it overwhelms me. But I just looked this week and I have a very good opening rate on the neighborhood news,
Mm,
which is not even something I can imagine how great it could be if I paid attention to it and actually put personal anecdotes in it, which I haven't. It's just more delivering the news of the neighborhood, which I think you do that pretty, I know you do that, Candy. Like, oh, this people always want to know what's happening in their neighborhood or
Yep.
that their houses increase in value, continue to. So that is a really smart way that's automatically doing it for me, by the way. And it was quite eye-opening for me to go look and see, like, oh, this person signed up, this person signed up. People are very hungry for the news. So even if you don't have it within you, because I haven't for this year, but I commit to doing it, hopefully by the end of March, is to just sign them up for this. It's just going to give a steady stream. We all have it at Century 21 of the information that's happening in someone's neighborhood. That's so simple that goes on its own. You don't have to do a thing with it. So I am committed to trying to like make it personalized for the future. But I thought everybody should know without me trying to do one thing. And I hope I don't get busted by the top brass here. I'm getting like a good success rate on opening of those emails that are getting automatically sent on a monthly neighborhood news.
That's awesome. Actually, that was actually on my list to talk about next. So we're
Good.
brainwaving through the computer. Yeah. So anybody that's new on here, if you want to learn more about the neighborhood news, of course, just reach out to your branch manager or Carla as well, and she can help you. But as Leslie said, you said it and it goes, which is so great. You can, personalize some things. But and I'm with you, Leslie. Like I don't look to the insights very much of it. I have my own personal newsletter that I send out to my clients. So very personal. It's, it has a recipe in it. It has pictures of my family in it, just kind of highlights for me of what I did through the month. And I do have a pretty good success rate at that being opened as well. And it's just simple. I have a template, just fill in the information and what happened during that month. So consider a monthly newsletter. It's just a great way to stay in touch with people. One I'm going to be doing, haven't done it yet, is to put it like I don't know what you can go, like just like a little link in there that I can actually talk in my newsletter also. So if somebody doesn't really want to read everything, then I'll just have a little blurb in there of, something. And I won't probably do it all the time, but just every now and then. So that's on my goal of things I have to do.
Oh, that's smart.
Another one, remember, is HomeBot. Like every client that is a client, like, once they do something with me, I set them up on HomeBot immediately. And it's just, again, another way for them to think about you whenever they go into the HomeBot, and look at that link. So, let's see, I'm checking things off. We're through here. I do have a moving van. Also, I think I've mentioned this in maybe one of the other ones that I was on. So my moving van is free for my clients to use. And once they're a client, like I said earlier, they are always a client. And I got somebody just the other day that called and said, hey, I literally just want to move this. I think they were moving a piece of furniture, like a hutch or something, out to their mom's house or their sister's house. I don't know. And said, can we use it? They've been in their house for a couple of years already, and they know I had the moving van, and yeah, come pick it up. I just always ask they fill it up with gas when they're done. So that's the only thing. Then I also do give that out to the community as well. So if there's like to the charities, if they're moving like Fire and Ice will use it. If there is a gala, they've used it before for moving wine glasses that they had to pick up from someplace and then moving it to the event, or chairs. We've used it for chairs before too. So just some of those things that I
Yeah.
do for the community and the clients. Yeah.
What's the background on it? Like, what's it like for you insurance wise to have this? I know some people in our area have trailers that just would hook up to someone's car for moving, that are branded, but like, what is the insurance? What does it cost you? What's the liability?
Um, to be honest, I don't know what the cost is. I'll be honest. Like, I don't know. It's just part of when I bought it, it's just a monthly fee for that. Now, one thing I do is I have advertisers like insurance companies, lenders, a landscaper. They advertise on the big overhead door in the back. So that pays for my monthly costs. So in that regard, it costs me $0. Very smart, very, very smart investment in that regard. Now I obviously have the maintenance on it. But they have to sign a liability waiver before they can take it out, and they have to have proof of insurance as well. So I have my own insurance, but then they have their insurance as well. Yeah. So if somebody wants to know more about that, please let me know. The reason I went with the moving van versus a trailer is I could just see somebody pulling up in a little old Pinto and saying, "Oh, how am I going to move this?" And
Yeah,
I'm not
that's
moving it. So this is self-sufficient. I have a lockbox that they just get the keys out of and drop them back off on. I don't do anything but check in and make sure that it started and that they were on their way down the road. And then I'll check in during the weekend and just say, "Hey, how's the van use working for you?" And always great comments. So the van's a pretty good thing for me as well. Okay. I just want to kind of maybe wrap that part of this presentation up by just saying, really use your CRM. And if you're a newer agent, or you don't even have to be a new agent, start a CRM. I don't care what it looks like. It can be a spreadsheet. It can be, Moxie has a great one. So I really encourage you to use the Moxie one. But you have to have a CRM so that all these things we were talking about, especially all the mile points and the touch points, you have record of them and you have a system. Because if you have to sit and when you have 5 clients, you're going to keep track of that. And I was the same way. I'm like, oh, it's up here. And then you get to like 15, 20 clients, and like it's getting a little bit harder. But now when you have hundreds of clients, like it's just really hard to keep track of it. You can't. You just can't. It's one thing that has always kept me up at nighttime, like, oh, who do I call tomorrow? What do I say? And having a good CRM just really helps with that. Or who haven't I touched and reached out to? So, okay. Any questions on anything we went over before we move on to kind of like our next block? Carla has a question. Carla, do you have a question?
Actually, Sarah wanted to know where you get those stools, Candy. Like, are
Oh,
they locally? Are they online?
Okay, they're online, and you really can just search lettered stools and you'll find a couple of different places. Don't be shocked at the price because they are a little spendy. But I think I can have Sophie send out the link to if anybody wants it, or yeah, or Sarah, I can just send it directly to you too. Good question.
Thanks.
Anything else? Okay, then we're going to move on to like um, housing community events and leveraging your local partnerships. I mean, Leslie and I have kind of talked about that also. I think it's super important to be involved in your community and post some of those businesses together to work together for presence. The thing I really kind of want to stress is it has to be genuine. You can't be in every social event, and you can't be at every charity event. I know a couple agents here that they're in every single community event. And is it really genuine? I don't know, might not show it is because they're in everything. So try to kind of pick some of those that are near and dear to your heart, that you can actually spend a lot of time at and, have that presence with them together. So just a few that I do. I serve on the board. I've been on several boards over the years, but I kind of decided that I can't be on everything, like I just said, because you have to be on them because they're near and dear to your heart, not because you think you're going to get business out of them. So I just want to make that really clear because that'll shine through that, oh, why are they really on that board or on that committee? So some that I am on, so my husband and I usually pick 1 or 2 charities that we want to contribute to and really focus on the beginning of the year. So this year we picked the Cada House, which is a women's shelter. I have 2 backstories for why it's near and dear to my heart. If ever wants to know, just let me know. And then My Place is a place for kids to go to after school that generally would be running the streets or at home unattended. So those are the 2 that we have picked. Along with that, I am on the Y board as well. I've been a member of the Y, I don't know, 30 years probably, and been on the board 2 other times as well. So back on the board again with that. Um, let's see here. So, in those, again, I can't do everything at those charities, so I just kind of try to do what I can. I might make money donations, or I might spend my time promoting something that they have going on, or just helping at one of the centers there as well. Do you do anything like that, Leslie?
yeah, actually kind
What
of
do
the
you do?
same thing. We have a women's shelter here called Someplace Safe. And so they have a tea every February, which is great. I always do look. That's when probably we do the more community minded things there it seems to be set in fall and winter. So that is one that I care about a lot. And I don't know, it's really fun because it's like you sponsor a table. I can invite new clients or people just on a little, like in a little different atmosphere. It's pretty festive because you have to decorate a table,
Oh,
which thankfully in our office, others like to take that up and go crazy with it. So that's kind of fun. And it raises money for this shelter. So that's my February thing. We do a bowling thing, just business to business. And oh, I should back up in the winter, we have a festival of lights. So I do a big sponsorship. So I really am I do that, I guess, I suppose, naturally, is that I'm focused on the things that I like, and you can't be everywhere at once. So that doesn't seem genuine to me when I see somebody's splattered on everything. I do focus on more, I suppose it's seasons of life too, and more women and kids causes, but the YMCA is a big thing too. And I've been on the board for years there as well. And that is great. And, you don't maybe go into it with the intention of business, but the YMCA is, if you've got a community workout space, that is a fantastic place to see people all of the time, I have found. And
yeah.
I'm going to my weightlifting class with seniors too. So that's great. I have a benefit there. I'm the youngest one, and I'm staying in contact with a lot of my clients there.
Oh, that's
The other
awesome.
boards, yeah, the other boards I serve on a nursing home, which is good and I like it. And again, it does lead to business. I don't go on to these boards with that intention, but when I first started in the business, that was told like that it's just raises your profile in the community to be
Yeah.
serving on boards.
Yeah, it does. And I think you nailed it. And I've said it too, like you can't do it just like, oh, am I going to get business out of this? It really has, you have to show your passion for it. Because I think people will see right through that. But anyways, okay. So then again, some other things like I do, I already talked about the Mankato Moon Dogs. It helps the community and I'm able to give back. Not I don't only give back to the community, but I give those tickets and stuff to my clients. So good connection there. Um, like you said, belonging to a gym is great as well. Again, supports the community and you will run into your clients there. I mean, so it's just another great way to see them. They see that you're active and you're out. I personally, I belong to the Y, but I actually don't go to the Y to work out. I work out my own house. So for me, I do get lots of comments from people about, they appreciate me showing that I'm a person and I don't work out with all kinds of makeup on and I just get it done in the morning and I'm motivation. So it's just another way to stay in touch with your clients. Let's see here. What are some other community things that I do? I have some things written down here. That
Parades.
was
I bet you do a lot of
probably, oh yeah,
parades.
I do the parade. Yeah, like that went real. I mean, that's definitely a community event. For me, I know like in the past, I don't know, I've done it, I think for 3 or 4 years now. I think 3 years. And I heard everybody just complaining about doing the parades in the past, like in our own office. And I had never participated when we do. I have a conflicting set big triathlon that weekend for my kids. So I'm always like, I'm not giving that weekend up. And then when I got my van, my husband's like, you kind of got to be in the parade with your van. I'm like, okay, fine. So I do leave the parade and immediately drive to Iowa to catch the triathlon, and I sometimes miss it. But anyways, I think the parades are like the biggest place to get involved and showcase your community. I mean, showcase your business. Like for me or in Mankato, there's always other realtors in there. And I think it immediately, if you're not in it, they're going to think, we're Century 21. I mean, we're just a big name. We're a
Mhm.
big deal. We really are. And so I
Mhm.
think for all the communities that do the Century 21 or do the parades and Century 21's in it, I think it's awesome. So I'm glad that I at least do mine and get that presence out there. And you guys do the parades too, right?
We do.
Yeah.
We have different. So like Fergus is a hub, but then there's like 30 minutes out in all areas, there's a bunch of lakes. So they have their own communities. We have parades everywhere
Yeah.
here. But yeah, I haven't always done them and I should brush up.
Another thing I do is I do senior expos. So again, it helps the expo by participating in it, the enrollment, but again, gets my name out. And I do spend way too much money giving stuff out. It's kind of like Halloween for seniors, right? I mean, they just take all your stuff. So I need to probably scale back on what I give out. But I do it because I really enjoy seniors. I really do enjoy talking to them and helping them through the process of moving because they're usually scared and don't know where to start. And it's just a great way to build relationship and to talk to people. So kind of, think about that if you haven't done those before.
One thing
Yeah.
I know, in times of tragedy, um, Sarah in our office there was a big fire that happened in her town, Battle Lake, 30 minutes from Fergus. And she put something out on Instagram, like, stop at the coffee hut and get for the first responders to that. And that was genuine. That's something she thought to do, but didn't do it with the intention of it blowing up on Instagram. But like it did, it reached over 100,000 people. And people,
Wow. Good
and
job,
people,
Sarah.
yeah, people loved it in the community too, because that's really, in the winter, especially super small, close knit place. And so I think there's ways to just keep, supporting the first responders, the people that are your cousins and, your clients' cousins. And I think she's super community driven. And that's really what it does take to be a top performer, I think, in real estate is obviously you have to be a people person, but you don't have to be in all of them, but you've got to really lock into like, okay, what is my focus? What else do I support here? It
Yeah.
is key.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing that every year I say, I'm going to do something for teachers for teacher appreciation or back to school. And I have a couple clients who are teachers. So I'll go on to Amazon and buy some of their, school supplies that they're looking for their room. No one knows I do it. I don't even know if they know it where it even comes from, to be honest. I have no idea. But I do that. But every year I do think I'm going to do more. I do Doctor's Day. So just show appreciation to my clients that are doctors. I bring them a nice bottle of wine and some either a little gadget tied to it or chocolate or something like that too. So there's lots of different things that you can do. Really just think of focusing on trying to support some of your local restaurants, your coffee shops, like go in and just have a cup of coffee and say thank you and leave your business card if you want to, or leave it on the table or on the counter just to let them know that you were there. But, get a picture of yourself sitting there having a cup of coffee or whatever it might be and put it on social media and tag them because we want to support people that support us as well. So I think those are some great ideas. Okay, any questions on that? We have one little block to wrap up with. Any questions on anything? Sarah
Sarah,
says, oh, I forgot what it said. Carla, you want to read that back? It went away too fast on me.
Yeah, sure. Sarah says, are there any items that stick out that you've given out?
like at parades or at the
Well,
senior
I do a
expo.
backpack, like a sling back at the parade, and I do see those through the community. I did it when I was at True Real Estate, and I still see True Real Estate Candy Dykeman on them, and I'm like, oh, I need to burn that and get them a new one. For me, I'd say the sling backpacks. Like kids were bringing them to baseball games, and I see them at the pool, and yeah. So for me, the backpacks.
Do you
Anything for
put
you,
your
Leslie? Oh,
Oh, and Sarah, she's figuring out things that might have a little better shelf life. She loves her Marshalls bag. We spent an hour talking about it and trying to find the manufacturer of it on Tuesday. So the Marshalls bag is like just I can't say the word, polypropylene bag that she throws, hockey stuff, hunting stuff, like wet stuff, beach
yeah.
stuff can go in and it's pretty sturdy, like with some handles. So we're trying to find that branded. And I think Sarah's forging a relationship with somebody in China right now to manufacture these. We're trying to go to the source. And I think that's going to be a smart thing to do, like the branding of a bag that is a little more sturdier than that. I don't know. We don't want the grocery bags that have like that yucky texture that's snags on things. We don't want that. But if anybody's got a hot lead on these poly bags, we want to brand them and we want them to be everywhere in the communities. Our goal.
Okay. Good. Yeah. So I would say that. And then as you were talking, remember, I give out these little white washcloths. They're like the microfiber ones for cleaning glasses and countertops and stuff. And I do have lots of people that want those. I'll even get a text message. Do you happen to have any more of those towels you could email or mail me? And I'm like, sure. So
Love
people
it.
do like those. So that's probably my two big products. Okay. And then lastly, just to kind of wrap it up, I just want to kind of talk about like some key takeaway things. You remember in real estate, it's about building relationships. You're not a salesperson. Kind of try to put that to the side. You're about building those relationships and keeping those long term. So kind of think of, you're not just gathering clients, but you're making friends or you're gathering people that you want to stay in touch with over the many, many years. Now, are you going to have clients that you're like, yeah, I don't care if I ever talk to them again? Probably. I think we all probably have some of those, but that's probably few and far between. So trying to, really just build those relationships and think of the ways that will make you unique. Take some of our ideas and build off of them. Ask other agents in your offices what they're doing. Make connections online. There's multiple mastermind groups that you can join for real estate and just see what other people are doing. I said this in the very beginning, like to me, I don't treat my clients as past clients. Now, if I'm talking about what list am I working on, I'll say a past client. But in my head, I always try to treat everybody. They're not past clients. They are always clients. And if you don't treat them as always clients, you might lose them to someone else when they're actually time for them to sell again or to give out any referrals. They might forget you if you don't keep in touch with them. Let's see.
Do you
Take notes. Oh, go
do you
ahead.
do banners? Do you do big things that do put you out in community spaces? Do you find
I
that
I
useful?
personally don't. I personally don't. I kind of think of if I go to a gym, I'm not really looking at the banners. I'm
Mhm.
looking, and I'm sitting in a lot of gyms over my years, and I personally don't. Doesn't mean it doesn't work for other people, but I don't. Yeah. Do you?
I have a very outdated one actually at the arena that I need to, because that is, I have, people are sitting and they're staring mostly probably at their wonderful little kid on the ice. But in case I sit there a lot of time. I spend a lot of time in an arena. And so I have one that's pretty front and center. And I try to make it about, as I noticed everybody else's was like, here's my business, here's my business. So mine's like, I think Carla designed it like give 121%, go otters. Like I'm
Oh, that's
focused on
cool.
the group, but working myself in there a little bit. But I think that if you can do that as far as like banners, that also shows that you're into the actual thing and not just for yourself.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think that would be cool if you gave like some motivational quote or something. Yeah, or
Mhm,
words, if you're in a gym or an arena. Yeah, I love that idea. That's cool.
mhm.
So another kind of takeaway that we kind of talked about is make sure you're taking those notes every single time you talk to somebody. Take a note. Don't say, "Oh, I'm going to remember that their kid's going to graduate from college this year," or don't say, "I'm going to remember that they just got a job promotion," because the next time you talk to them, you're probably going to forget that. So take notes every single time that you're talking to them, as little as it might be. Go back and put it in that CRM. So before you call them, you pull up your CRM, pull up your notes and say, "Oh yeah, he just got a job promotion. I should ask him how that's going." Let's see. I think those are my takeaways from that I wanted to share that we kind of talked about today. Leslie, how about you? Any takeaways?
No, I think we kind of covered it. I mean, I think once you started, when I was first asked to participate in this, I was like, oh, I don't have great scheduled things going, which is always, like I said, I'm a work in progress.
We
And
all are. We all are.
but I do a lot of community stuff. It comes naturally for me. And I'm not saying it has to for everybody, but I think if you really think about why you live where you live, it'll start dawning on you that, hey, I am really kind of into this, or this was meaningful to me when I was a kid. And just sort of explore that within yourself. And I think it will naturally lead you to start sponsoring things, start promoting things, and get you, and get on a board. Get on a board. If that's one thing I can tell anybody, you learn a lot about the community, you get to know people in other capacities that are very useful in business for connections, and you are serving your community too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you got to think of, the community the people live in the communities that have bought houses from us. So it's a great way to give back to our community. It's my
I try,
opinion. But
I also try to stay very positive, like in a smaller community such as mine, people I went to high school with that never left here probably, but like there can be some real negativity that creeps in. I'm always the first one out to say like, well, I'm having a very different experience. I see a lot of people moving into the area. I love the splash pad or whatever it is. Like I try to be very Pollyanna when it comes to, and I do feel that way, but I think it's really important to have that positivity in a louder context, even if it's on social media, to just always be promoting the community.
yeah, that's a really good point. Good point. Okay, well, we are at 9:58, so I
Oh,
think our time is perfectly ending.
my hair
If
is
anybody
dry,
has, what's that?
and my hair is dry.
And it looks lovely. Like I wish I could turn out like that. So if anybody has any questions that they want to know more information on about what Leslie and I do, please feel free, reach out, call, send a text, send an email. Always happy to give more information. So everybody have a great day. Thanks for joining and good luck in your business in 2025.